All right, so let's continue where we left off. So we did the lateral area, we did the surface area. One more formula. Volume is the amount inside, and the formula for that is capital B times H. Well, capital B, that is the area of the base. In this case, that's a triangle. And then H is the height of the prism. It's the height of the prism. So again, you have to be really careful here because capital B, we already found that. The area of the base, well, the base was the triangle. We found the area of the triangle down here. We said it was 48. So the volume is, I'm going to set up parentheses for my variables. That's 48. H is the height of the prism. Now we solved Pythagorean theorem. We got H is 6. That's the height of the triangle. That's the height of the base. That's not what we're using. We want the height of the prism. That's the distance between the bases. So that would be this segment here, 23. And by the way, the 23 would not only be here, this bottom edge, it would also be right here. It would also be in the back. Those are going to be the same. So we've got 48 times 23. Now it's a calculator problem, and we get the volume is 1,104. Now here's the thing. Volume is three-dimensional. So it's centimeters cubed. Centimeters cubed. And those are your solutions right there. So volume, surface area, lateral area. All right, so let's do another example here. A lot of variables going on. You have to be real careful when you're going through this. Let's say we have a rectangular prism, like a box. All right, so let me draw a box. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and then with the rectangle, I'm going to kind of draw these edges here, 3 slanted edges, and then I connect them, and there's my box. And let's say this is 15, let's say this is 8, and let's say this is 10. For a rectangular prism, you can use the same formulas for lateral area, surface area, and for volume. But for example, for volume, there's another formula which you're probably familiar with. It's length times width times height. When you have a rectangular prism, we've got volume is length times width times height. Now this is nice because the length, the width, and the height, in this case, we've got 15, there's your L. Okay, so there's length, there's width, there's height. It really does not matter which one is which because you're going to multiply them all anyway. So when you multiply this here, we're going to do 15 times 8 times 10, and what we get is 1,200. So the volume is 1,200. Let's say in this case that we were dealing with inches. So this would be inches cubed for the volume. All right, so the volume is length times width times height. Now if you want to find surface area, the formula is going to be a little bit different. For the surface area, what you'll see on your formula sheet is 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. Now what happens is that in a rectangular prism, you've actually got 6 faces. So if I draw this, if I draw on the back part, so I'll do a little dotted line here, you'll notice that you have a top and a bottom, that's 2 faces. You have a left and a right, that's 2 more, and you have a front and a back. That's 2 more, so you have 6 faces. The top and the bottom will have the same area. They're congruent. The left and the right will have the same area. The front and the back will have the same area. So what we see here, 2 times length times width. Length and width would be the bottom rectangle here. So that would be 2 times 15 times 8 plus 2 times length times height. Length is 15, the height is 10. So that means that's also 10. That would be the front and the back. So 2 times 15 times 10. And then 2 times width times height. The width and the height would represent the right side and the left side. So that'd be 2 times 8 times 10. Because the formula for area of a rectangle is just length times width or base times height. So this would be 240, this would be 300, and this would be 160. And if we add all that up, we get 540 and 160. The surface area is 700, and that would be inches squared. When you do an area, it's two-dimensional. It's the covering for that. All right, let's do one more example here. Let's say we have a cube, and the volume is 216, and we'll say it's cubic feet, feet cubed. What is the surface area? Surface area equals question mark. Okay? So let's see, for a cube, we can draw one. A cube is a rectangular prism. The only difference is that all the sides are the same. All the edges are equal. So length, width, height, I'm actually going to call all of them x. If it's a cube, they're all equal to each other. So here's the thing. The volume, 216 cubic feet. Well, that's length times width times height. Okay, volume is length times width times height for any kind of rectangular prism. In this case, that's x times x times x equals 216. Now going back to algebra 1, when you multiply the variables x times x times x, you add the exponents, that's x to the third equals 216. So how do we solve this? Well, on the side, if you had x squared equals 49, to undo a square, you have to square root both sides. So you get 7. To undo a cube, we have to take the cube root of both sides. The cube root of x to the third is x. Now to get the cube root of 216, if you have the calculator, you can go to math and then go down to number 4. It says cube root 216, and you got 6. So the cube root of 216 is 6. Let's say you don't have this calculator, or let's say you have a different kind of calculator. Well, one thing you could do, when you take a cube root, you're asking yourself, what times what times what gives me that number? So let's say I try 3 times 3 times 3. Does it give me 216? No, it's too small. How about 4 times 4 times 4? No. 5 times 5 times 5? Nope, getting closer. 6 times 6 times 6. There's my answer, 216. Okay, so I got each of the sides is 6. But the question is, what's the surface area? Well, how many rectangles or squares do we have in the picture? We've got 6 of them. Since each of the faces has the same dimensions, I could find the area of one face. So the area of this face right here is length times width, 6 times 6, which is 36. Since we have 6 of these faces, top and bottom, front and back, left and right, and they're all going to be 36, for the surface area, I can just do 36 times 6. And what we get is 216. Well, actually, we get the same thing. That's not normal that that's going to happen, but in this case, we actually get the same as the volume. 216, and that would be feet squared, okay, because it is an area. That's your surface area. And that is the end of the notes.